Welcome to Colmar, France, a fairy tale town in the heart of the Alsace region. Whether you're here for the storybook streets, the incredible food, or the magical Christmas markets, this one-day itinerary has you covered. From how to get here to what to see and where to stay, let me help you plan the perfect day in Colmar, France. Let's start with getting there. Colmar doesn't have its own airport, but it is conveniently located near two major airports, Strasbourg Airport in France and Basel-Mulhouse Airport on the French-Swiss border. From Strasbourg Airport, you can take a shuttle train to Strasbourg Station, then transfer to a regional TER train to Colmar. The whole trip takes about an hour. From Basel-Mulhouse Airport, you'll take a shuttle bus to the St. Louis train station, then a train to Colmar, and this journey also takes about an hour. Or if you're coming from Paris, you can catch a TGV high-speed train to Colmar in about 2.5 hours. Once you arrive at the main train station in Colmar, the city center is just a short walk away. The town is very small, so getting around on foot is easy and part of the charm. Now let's talk about where to stay. I recommend finding accommodation in the old town known as La Petite Venise or Little Venice. This area is famous for its colorful half-timbered houses, canals, and cobblestone streets. You'll be in the heart of the action and within walking distance to all of the major attractions. Budget travelers might consider the nearby neighborhood of Quartier Saint Joseph to save a little bit of money, but still not be too far away. Or it is possible to do Colmar as either a day trip from another big city like Paris or Zurich, which are both roughly 2.5 hours away on the train, or even combine it with another charming nearby French town like Strasbourg. For us personally, we stayed in Strasbourg the night before, woke up and took the train to Colmar where we explored for a few hours before hopping on another train to Basel and then another train to Zurich in that same day, and that's where we spent the night. So we kind of created almost like our own hop on, hop off train itinerary experience, which was awesome. So we just put our bags in lockers by the train station, explored the downtown of Colmar, and then continued on our journey. That is the beauty of the Interrail or Eurail Pass. I cannot recommend it enough. Check out last week's video to learn everything you need to know about this unlimited train pass in Europe. Now let's dive into your one-day itinerary. Begin your day in the most iconic part of Colmar, Little Venice. Stroll along the canals, snap photos of the storybook half-timbered houses, stop by the Quai de la Poissonnerie, which I know I'm saying it wrong, but it is the former fishmonger district, and it has some of the best views in town. From here, you can head deeper into the old town to just wander aimlessly around the charming alleyways and beautiful buildings. It's not that big of an area, so you don't really need an itinerary or guide for this specific area. Just walk down as many streets and alleyways as you can to soak in as much of Colmar as possible. Then when you're ready to eat, head to Colmar's covered market where there is both fresh produce to browse and ready-to-eat food stalls. So take some time walking around here and finding something to eat. Once you're done eating, you can choose between these two activities based on your interests, or of course do both if you do have the time. First is to visit the Unterlinden Museum, which is housed in a former convent and is home to the famous Eisenham altarpiece and other treasures of European art and history. Even if you're not an art enthusiast, the architecture and the gardens are worth a visit. The second option is wine tasting. Colmar is in the heart of the Alsace wine region, known for its Rieslings and its Gewürztraminer. I don't know how to say that at all, but it's a type of wine.
Gewürztraminer.
So stop by a local wine bar or tasting room to sample the region's best wines. You can end the day by grabbing some food and dessert to go, hanging out by the beautiful canals. If you're visiting Colmar during the holiday season, the Christmas markets might be the highlight of your trip like they were for us. Colmar transforms into a winter wonderland with 6 distinct markets spread across the old town. Some must-visit markets include Little Venice's market that's held in the Montagnus Norris Plaza on Rue de Manique. Next is the Market and Place de Dominicans, set right in front of the main cathedral, known for its handmade ornaments and crafts. Lastly, we have the best market in my opinion, the market in the Ancien Douane Plaza, which has the most stalls and is surrounded by so much charm. Two tips about these markets. First, get cash from an ATM before you head to the market. Cash is still king at these markets. There are stalls, yes, at each market that will accept cards, but not all of them. So it's important to get cash and just make sure you can get everything that you want at these markets. And second, make sure you try as many food items as possible. This was my absolute favorite part about Christmas markets in general on this trip. And even though no Christmas market or food experience will top the one we had in Cologne, Germany, it's still worth doing here in Colmar. The first thing to try is tarte flambe, which is basically Alsace France's version of a pizza, but crispier and thinner. Next is pain d'épices, as traditional French spice bread that dates back to over 355 years. Next is something I found a bit odd for a Christmas market, I'm not gonna lie, but foie gras, which is the liver of a duck or a goose. And if you see this in a restaurant, it's usually pretty expensive and considered a delicacy, but in the markets, you could just get it on a sandwich. Then, of course, you can get a crepe, which is also very French. And they also have some stalls selling some German foods since they're so close to the German border, like pretzels, bratwurst, and spatzel. Now, I mentioned Strasbourg a few times in this video because it's one of the closest airports to Colmar, but it's also one of the best Christmas destinations to visit in Europe. So if you are looking to visit another place before or after Colmar, especially if you're looking for Christmas vibes, that's where I'd recommend going. So let's check out my Christmas in Strasbourg video to help you plan your trip.